I've always found it strange that some guys can have way more followers and subscribers, but also at the same time make way less money every single month or every single year than those with less followers and subscribers. So I decided to look into it, and through my research, I have found that there are three main areas which content creators get wrong as to why they don't make money online. Therefore, in this video, I will break down these three key areas, explain to you exactly how you can master them in order to get results like the ones that you see on screen right now. So area number one is the actual type of content that these people make. The majority of people who have lots of followers and lots of subscribers, it is that way because of the people that they attract to their channel. Now, what I mean by these type of people is people who can relate to them and people that I call buddies or friends. Now, a lot of these guys, they've got thousands, if not millions of subscribers, but they're attracting friends rather than attracting the people that they want to attract, which is customers. And this is usually done by playing into the kind of victim mindset of, I'm just gonna, mess around, or I'm gonna talk about my struggles, or I'm gonna play video games. And people like to relate to that. They like to feel like you're their kind of online friend, even though they've never met you before. But the guys who are making all this money online, the tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars online, they don't have these online friends who subscribe to their channel and follow their channel and comment every single day on their channel because they see themselves as these online buddies. Instead, the guys who actually make money online are attracting potential customers, and they're doing this by providing them with valuable, actionable content and actionable advice that they can then use to solve some sort of problem or some sort of pain point that they have been having in their life. So you might be thinking to yourself, okay, I sort of understand, but what do I actually do? Now, I'm not someone to give the biggest advice in the world about how you could be creating content. I'm not some master expert, I've never claimed to be. However, I have been in the content game for many a years now, made a lot of mistakes on the way, and I'm just going to share with you what I have found to work. So I have made more money being an educational content creator and creating content that, instead of chasing views and subscribers and likes and comments, I've gone for people who actually want to buy from me, so my potential customers. And whereas this audience is a lot smaller than my old audience, the amount of money that I make, just purely because of the people who make up the audience, is way more than I ever made before. So you can take my advice, you can not take my advice, you can do whatever you want. But what I've noticed and what has worked for me is that when you start to create educational content and actually solve a problem, that is when you start to make serious amounts of money. And that's something that I teach in the $1 community, which you can find in the link in the description. If you want more details about content and building an online community, that's down there for you. So area number two, which I see a lot of people making mistakes, is the call to action. Now, I got this piece of advice from my mentor, Alex Hormozi. I've actually got his book behind me here, but I was taking a piece of advice from him, and he basically said that he had done the research. So Alex has got, 4, 5, 6 million followers over a couple of different channels. And so he obviously has a lot of data that he can study, and he can look and he can test out and iterate and see what works and what doesn't. And what Alex found was that when you had a call to action, the best and most optimal time to do it was in the first third of the video. So you give value in your video, you solve a problem, you target a pain point, you target a specific customer, and anywhere within the first third of the video, you basically give them a call to action. Now, what this call to action looks like, it can be click the link in the description, it can be comment a certain word, depending on what platform you're on, DM me, message me, at me, whatever method you want to use. There's a lot of different types of call to action, but what Alex found in his research was that the best time to do it was in the first third of the video. So you noticed that at the end of the last point, I said, if you want more ideas about content and how to actually build and scale communities, then click the link in the description to join the $1 community. That was my call to action in this video. So you can see how this is playing out in this video, how I'm doing it in real time and how it actually works, and how you can then implement it to your YouTube channel or your Twitter, your Instagram, etc. So make sure you have a call to action in the first third of your YouTube video. Now, secondly, we need to talk about what this call to action is actually going to be. This call to action is simply to get traffic from a third-party website to your sales page. So for example, I'll take the example of YouTube, because a lot of my customers can relate because they make YouTube content. They would make content on YouTube, get impressions, get views, get, people attracted to their content, receiving value, providing value. And then they will basically guide these people to the link in the description, which will then take them to a sales page, which will either be on its own kind of platform where they then go from the sales page to the community, or they just have the sales page on the community platform, whichever way they personally decide to do it. But the whole goal is to take them from one channel to where you want to place them. So for, like I said, with my customers, it would be in a community on Skool. And a quick tip that I would, like to share with you when it comes to, okay, how am I going to actually include this call to action? Because what I see a lot of guys doing is making a big mistake of having, a little bit of value. They follow all the steps, they have the value, then in the first third, they're going to have a call to action, which sends them to a link of a sales page. But the call to action is completely disassociated with the content. So what this would look like in real life is, for example, me saying something about my content, cut, and then like an ad break basically in the middle of my video. When you watch television or you watch YouTube and there's an ad break, that's basically what you're doing, or what a lot of guys are doing when it comes to their call to actions. But what we want to do instead is integrate the call to action within the message. So there's a YouTube channel which I quite like. It's called Fern, F-E-R-N, and they make these like animation videos based around all different types of stuff, like crime, hackers, the Egyptian pyramids, all these different types of things. And I was watching one of their videos the other day and I realized they did something very smart. They were making a video about hackers and the dangers of hackers. And as they were making one of their points about the hackers, they quickly flipped to like this sponsor of the video, which was actually a company that stops hackers, stops people getting your data. So they simply integrated this into what they were already saying in their story. So it didn't look so out of place. It didn't look like some sort of ad that shouldn't be there. Instead, it was just integrated within it. And they were talking about hackers, and then they basically said, and if you are scared about hackers, or if you are worried that someone's going to steal your data, try checking out the sponsor of the video, which is blah, 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 blah. And it was really cool to see them integrated in there. And that's what I mean when I say to have it in with the video rather than making it its own kind of separate ad, so to say. So we've spoken about the type of content, we've spoken about the call to action. Now let's talk about what you're actually going to be offering your customers. So you need to be making educational content. Then those people who watch your videos are going to click the link in the description. It takes them to a sales page. But what are you actually going to offer them on this sales page? And this is the third area, the offer. Now you need to get the offer correct, because most guys, truly being said, don't know exactly what they're selling. So you need to know exactly what you are selling, who you are selling it to, how is it going to be delivered, what are they going to get, what sort of benefits are they going to get, what sort of guarantees are they going to get. You need to know all of this stuff. You need to have it in your head. You need to have it on a Google document. You need to constantly be thinking about it while you're making content, while you're making videos, while you're spreading the word of your product or your service. You need to know the offer. You need to have the offer in mind. Who is it for? What problems are you going to solve? What pains are you going to relieve from your specific avatar? And once you start to understand your avatar, what you're going to be doing, how you're going to be selling it to them, you need to set up a professional sales system. Now, there's a direct correlation between the more professional and integrated and better looking and working and fluid sales system and how many people are going to buy your product or your service. Now, what a sales system basically looks like is the whole process. So as soon as they click on your video, because think about it, your thumbnail, that is trying to sell them to watch the video. The title is trying to sell them to watch the video. So the sales system starts at the title of the thumbnail. You need a good title or thumbnail. Then you need to speak well and have confidence and get value and your points across. That's also part of the sales system. Then it's the call to action. Then it's the clicking the link. Then it's taking them to the sales page. And once they're on the sales page, this even goes into more detail of the sales system, which is, okay, are you going to book them onto a call? If you're offering a higher ticket product, you probably need an onboarding call and try and sell them over a call or over a video rather than just them clicking a link. However, if it's a cheaper thing, if you're selling low ticket, then you can probably just get away with having a link there and let that kind of passively sell itself just with the information in the video you have on your landing page. And you need to think about all of these things in detail and have them in your mind and have the system set up very professionally and fluid so that your customers can easily get from point A, which is them initially watching some of your content, all the way to point Z, which is actually becoming a customer and paying you every single month. And just think about it this way, the more professional your sales system looks, the more professional it flows, the more expectations you set and then hit, the less risky it is for a customer. If they go to a website that looks dodgy, then they're just going to immediately click off. If they want to buy a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 product and you're not offering an onboarding call or a consultant call beforehand just to qualify them as a lead, again, they're going to see that as a bit suspicious, a bit risky, and they're likely not going to buy. So all we want to do is just bring down the risk for the customer as low as possible, and a professional sales system will help you do that. Now, I said at the start of the video that I was going to cover 3 areas, but there's actually one more area which I'm calling the bonus area, and this is your lead magnet. Now, a lead magnet is essentially how you're going to get potential customers' emails, names, phone numbers, their details, basically. How are you going to get potential customers' personal details? Now, there's plenty of lead magnets that you could use. Some will work better depending on what you are selling and how you are selling it. However, I made a video recently which goes through 3 lead magnets that are working today that will help you build a 6-figure community. So if you want to check out that video and get those lead magnets, then I recommend you click the video on screen right now.